What's up everybody and how you doing today? Welcome to Pop Stop Studios and thank you for joining us just on another little look at some stop motion aspects. And today we're looking at the Hulk, who is going to be starring in the Superman vs. Hulk video that should be coming out hopefully next week. Now, as was said in last week's video, Superman, he was a bootleg and unfortunately so is the Hulk, but for my purpose, because I'm not trying to collect these guys, I'm just trying to use them for animation, and I am not made out of money. I had to buy the bootleg version as well as the Hulk. So I picked them up for, I think another like 20 bucks Canadian on AliExpress, and it took a while for him to get here, but he came, and yeah, he's alright. I have had some real big struggles with animating him, but we'll go through that soon. So first I'm just going to look at the height, and because he's a big guy when he's fully standing up. He's about 8.5 inches tall, if I'm looking at that right. Yeah, about 8.25. And so he's big, he's huge, and he should be. The Hulk should be huge. Now, if you can see there are some clear color changes. You know, he's supposed to just be green. He's the big green giant, right? But when we look at him here, we've got two different shades of green. We've got this one, which looks much more like his skin color in like Age of Ultron, and then we've got this chest, which is very I don't know, it's just like a plastic looking green, but you know, it's a bootleg, so what do you expect, right? It's as good as it's gonna be. So here we go. We'll get him to stand back up here. He's actually standing fairly well on his own, which I'm kind of surprised about because I really struggled just to get him to stand there, and even though there are boxes behind him, he's actually not balancing on them right now. So he came with two sets of hands. So he's got the fists that he's got right now, and then he's got this hand style here, just kind of like the grabbing style. It's about all you need from a Hulk figure. I can't really imagine anything else that you would need to make a Hulk look good or intimidating. I kind of wish there was a third hand, but honestly I'm not even sure what that would be. Maybe just kind of a relaxed one, but you're like, the Hulk's never relaxed, so no need for that. And so this figure actually came with 3 heads. He's got the one that he's got on right now, and then he's got this very neutral face. Let's get better focus on that. There we go. So we got that sort of neutral face, and then we've got the screaming face. So what I liked to do when I was animating it, it made it much easier. So we have neutral. So we have the neutral one here, then we have the growl, and then we have the scream. And that's how I would just do it to make him look like he's shouting, as I would just switch between those 3 heads. And it actually, in my opinion, it came out fairly well. The heads themselves, I think they look good. They have a nice sculpt to them. The color is fairly consistent with the rest of, except for that chest piece, rest of the skin. And the only negative I would have is that I think one of them is like cross-eyed, but other than that, he looks great, and you can't really he looks good. Now, as I'm holding him up here and you see it in the light, he's shiny. So I think what I might do, just for future, you know, reference or something to do, is just spray him in a clear matte coat. Just because, you know, the shininess really brings out the fact that like it's plastic, which, you know, fine, whatever, but it also shows to anybody who knows, yeah, that's a bootleg. That's okay, I'm not trying to hide it. Anyway, so we'll look at his articulation here, and we'll see, actually, I had a lot of struggle with animating this, and I'll show you why right here in just a minute. So we've got his head, which up and down, sorry, we got, whoop, the head goes up and down like that, side to side, it's good, arms go nicely up. You can spin them around. And now I had difficulty with that shoulder joint there. And they go all the way around. It's good. That's how tight the elbow will go. And the hand's got like a little ball wrist kind of thing going on in there. So, you know, it's pretty good for the fighting. Now, when it came to the legs, I love these knees. The knees are great. It's perfect for me. It gives you a lot of flexibility, and not only that, but it does a decent job of trying to hide the seam. It's not necessarily afraid of it, but just the fact that it's like really more blended in with the color. Now I think mine might be coming apart a little bit here. His toes got a good bend in there. Good bend in there with the toe. Now here's the tricky part. As you can see right here, all that is actually glue. So his legs separated on the inside while I was animating, and I don't have time to wait for a new one to come in. So I used some very intense glue to get it to hold together, and if you can see, there's actually still a hole right in there. So what happened was his leg actually came off because it was very stiff to move forward. And then what ended up happening after I glued it the first time was that the whole hip actually separated. No matter how hard I would try fitting it back in together, it wasn't going. But eventually I was able to just kind of squeeze as hard as I could, throw some glue in there, and it was good. But there was still, you know, I'm far from perfect, so I have some issues here, a little extra glue there. That's actually my thumbprint there. Let's see if you can see it. There it is. That's my thumbprint. So yeah, it's you know, this is what the leg should look like. Looks obviously much better, and it just kind of goes up, supposed to go up like that, and even then, like, it's still there. I had a little bit of a struggle getting it up, and that's as far back as it'll go, and far forward. It doesn't move too much, but the knees do a lot of it. And for animating, it's like, yeah, he won't go farther back, so it's more about the knees for the walking and the running, and leaning the figure forward. That's what's giving it kind of that motion of looking like he's running. And I really struggled with getting him to move, especially at first when I first started animating with him. Just because he's such a big character, he's fairly clumsy. So he's standing fairly well now. There we go. Nicely flat foot. But I found what would happen is he would do something like that. And then he'd fall right over. So it's very, yeah, very wobbly, very easy to flop right over. It's kind of unfortunate, but you know, that's the way it is. And yeah, so that's the Hulk there. I don't know, he's okay. I think he was worth what I paid for it, and he's good for my intended use. Any collectors out there? Absolutely not. He would be such a pain to try and pose with your other figures. What I ended up doing most of the time was actually using this double-sided tape here and just taping his foot right down, or I would use, now this isn't the one that I would use, but a type of alligator clamp, put a bunch of electrical tape on it so it doesn't actually damage the figure, and then I would slide it right up here in his back, right up in that little crack there. Now it would force him to lean forward a little bit, but it stayed and it was stable. And then I am getting some flat things for my rigs because I just currently am using kind of these sort of setups. Sorry. These kind of setups. You know, the $15 Amazon alligator clamp and magnifying glass, all that stuff in there. So it's worked fairly well. I think I'll continue to use that, but also find different ways to make them work for the future. And just as a height comparison, we'll compare him to Darkseid, just like we did with Superman. And it's kind of cool to see the Hulk actually looks small, because he is quite large. So, I mean, yeah, I think that's kind of cool looking progression. I think these three figures actually all work well in the same scale. Yeah, so anyways, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the Superman vs. Hulk video that should be coming out next week. And yeah, have a great day. Please like and subscribe.